She stood there respectfully and did not say a word. At that moment, seeing that the alchemy conference had come to a dramatic end, Lu Yu smiled bitterly and said regretfully, "This alchemy conference has come to a successful end. After 100 years, the alchemy conference will be held again. I hope that everyone will participate enthusiastically." After saying that, Lu Yu did not stay any longer. He directly left and walked towards the depths of the alchemy guild. Everyone present did not move, except for Lu Yu. As for them, they wanted to curry favor with Lin Rui, Hua Yuan, and Chu Ci. After all, their alchemy realms were still there. Of course, Chu Ci did not count. However, because he was Lin Rui's follower and could concoct pills with 5 patterns, they would not let go of this opportunity. At that moment, looking at Hua Yuan, Lin Rui was full of questions. Seeing that the people around him had no intention of leaving, Lin Rui waved his hand and an honorable realm array appeared instantly, enveloping Lin Rui and Hua Yuan. However, Lin Rui did not want to know. Because the array that he casually set up caused an uproar and discussion among the people present. Damn, what an all-round genius. Concocting pills, refining weapons, and now a magic array. How can we live? Boo-hoo. That's right. How can we live like this? This kind of person is the evilest of evilest, the most abnormal of all. Sigh. Who said otherwise? What does it mean to be the darling of heaven and earth? That is. At that moment, Chu Ci, who was standing in the magic array, heard the discussions of the people. Suddenly, Chu Ci could not help but raise his chin with a proud expression on his face. It was as if the people were talking about him. At that moment, Zhuge Houchao had seen the whole process. At that moment, he was deeply convinced that Lin Rui was not bluffing when he said that he could concoct supreme divine artifacts. He really knew how to concoct supreme divine artifacts. In the next moment, Zhuge Houchao could not help but feel excited. When he thought that he would soon have a supreme divine artifact, he did not know what to do. At that moment, in the magic array, Lin Rui looked at Hua Yuan and smiled. He said, "Tell me, why are you in the lower realm? How did you come here? What are your intentions in coming to this alchemy conference? Why did you stop?" At that moment, hearing Lin Rui's questions, Hua Yuan looked as if she had lost to him and said, "Don't ask anymore. I will not tell you everything." Since she had lost, she had to accept it. After all, this was what she had always believed in since she was young. Seeing how straightforward she was, Lin Rui was naturally happy. At least he did not have to ask her one by one. "My name is Hua Yuan. I come from the barren plain of the Holy World. The barren plain has a sect and a top-notch clan. This clan is our Hua clan. You should know all this, right?" That's right." Linley nodded his head disapprovingly. Indeed, Linley basically knew what she had just said. Looking at his reaction, Hua Yuan looked helpless and tired. "If that's the case, then I will tell you some things that you don't know." At that moment, he could clearly feel the change in Hua Yuan's aura. She was no longer as lively and cute as before. Instead, she became more mature. It was as if Hua Yuan was 18 years old before and she was now 30 or 40 years old. "Although my clan is the #1 clan in the barren plain, in the holy world, there are some existences in the 10 great continents. The Huang plain is the lowest out of the 10 plains, while our desolate plain is ranked 6th. However, the matters of the clan are not limited to lower worlds. Even the saints' world is not immune to it," Jian Chen said with a sigh. Hearing this, Lin Rui laughed. "Don't tell me it's a marriage alliance." Sigh. She did not want to admit Lin Rui's words, but it was the truth. Marriage alliance was an unavoidable existence for every clan, including the holy world, which was a sacred place in everyone's eyes. It's true. Seeing Hua Yuan sigh, it meant that he had guessed correctly. Immediately, Lin Rui laughed even harder. He did not expect that the holy world would have such emotional disputes. Yes, that's right. Looking at Lin Rei, Hua Yuan continued, although my clan is powerful and our bloodline is the direct line of descent, my father only has me as a daughter and no son. In order to strengthen the position of the direct line of descent in the clan, my father betrothed me to the number 1 clan in the 8th Yu continent, the young master of the Guyu clan, Guyu Lanbing. Isn't that good? The 8th continent? It's only second to the 9th or 10th heavenly layer. It should be very powerful. At this moment, Lin Rei's words were exactly the words of those who had been persuading her. If this was not the divine world, she would probably think that Lin Rei was sent by her father to persuade her. Although the Guyu clan is powerful, Guyu Lanbing is a famous playboy in the holy world. Just the women by his side are more than 10 times more than the people here. Tell me, can I marry such a person? Such a playboy, how can I give up my life's happiness? At this point, tears flowed down her face. Looking at her, Lin Rei sighed. Sigh. That's how clans are. For their own benefits, they don't care about sacrificing anyone. After all, only power is eternal. Yes. At this moment, Hua Yuan agreed with Lin Rei's words. So, I prepared to leave the Hua clan and wander the holy world. Although the outside world is full of danger, at least I don't have to marry someone I don't like. Finally, with the help of a servant, I escaped from the Hua clan. But who would have thought that the servant had already become Guyu Lanbing's spy? The reason why he helped me was because he wanted to give me to his master, Guyu Lanbing. Heh, that's quite tragic. At this moment, Lin Rei couldn't help but admire her luck. Yes, not long after I left the barren state, I met Guyu Lanbing. When he wanted to do something to me, I used a secret technique to escape. Just like that, a chase began. I entered the life of a fugitive, and this fugitive lasted for 1,000 years. During that 1,000 years, I lived in hell. There wasn't a good day, and I didn't have a good meal. After 1,000 years, he finally caught up. Just when I was in despair, I accidentally stepped into a mysterious formation. After that, I fainted. When I woke up, I was already here. After I woke up and asked, I found out that this was the divine world. Just like that, I drifted here for 2,000 years. At this moment, Lin Rei could be said to have heard a person's life story. Such a strange story actually happened to her. Okay, I'm done. Can we leave now? At this moment, Hua Yuan recovered from her memories and said to Lin Rei. Leave? I haven't finished asking. Why are you in such a hurry? Seeing that she was about to leave, Lin Rei couldn't help but stop her. Aya, what else do you want to ask? At this moment, Hua Yuan was a little impatient. Nothing. I just want to ask, how's the situation in the heavenly court in the holy world? You know about the heavenly court? At this moment, Hua Yuan, who was originally impatient, was immediately energized the moment she heard this. That's right. Not only do I know about the heavenly court, but I also have a grudge against the master of the heavenly court, Hao Tian. At this moment, when she thought about how her eyes were blinded by Hao Tian, a boundless killing intent uncontrollably emerged. Hiss, this person, feeling the boundless killing intent, Hua Yuan was stunned. This kind of killing intent, even from her father and the clan leaders of the various large clans, but now she felt it from an emperor god cultivator. What's going on between you and Hao Tian? You're from the divine world, and he's from the holy world. Logically speaking, you two shouldn't have any contact. Of course, at least not now. Hearing Hua Yuan's question, Lin Rei didn't hide anything and immediately told her the story of how he saved Xia Feng. After a few minutes, after listening to Lin Rei's story, Hua Yuan was stunned on the spot. Her expression was filled with disbelief. The master of the Phoenix clan? I didn't expect him to still be alive. She knew about the Phoenix clan. After all, they were both in the holy world, and the Phoenix clan was a ruling existence in the early days of the Eldritch era. Alright, quickly tell me, what's Hao Tian's cultivation level now, and how powerful is the heavenly court? At this moment, hearing the question, Hua Yuyin didn't hide anything and told him everything she knew. The heavenly court is a colossal existence in the holy world. Although it's not the strongest, it's not easy to provoke it. As for the heavenly emperor Hao Tian, I really don't know what cultivation level he's at. However, I know that he hasn't reached the Tao integration stage. As for the power of the heavenly court, if my Hua clan can use everything we have, we might be able to completely uproot the heavenly court from the holy world. At this moment, when talking about the Hua clan, Hua Yuyin couldn't help but show an arrogant expression. All right. You didn't say anything at all. At this moment, Lin Rei no longer prayed that Hua Yuyin could tell him the cultivation level of the various forces in the holy world, because she didn't know. Seeing that she was useless, he waved his hand and broke the array around them. Chu Ci, let's go. All right. Chu Ci, who had been waiting, responded immediately when she heard Lin Rei's words. She followed behind Lin Rei and was about to leave. However, just as he reached the door, he thought of the 9 revolutions mixed energy pill that he had refined. He turned his head and said to Hua Yuyin, although I didn't get the answer I wanted from you, I still have to thank you. Swoosh, after saying that, Lin Rei waved his hand and a ray of light instantly shot out and landed in front of Hua Yuyin. A 9 revolutions mixed energy pill with 10 pill patterns landed in the air and floated there. Heh. How interesting. Looking at the pill and looking at the door and Lin Rei who had left, Hua Yuyin smiled and reached out her hand to grab the pill. In a flash, she left the alchemy guild. At this moment, before the crowd could react, Lin Rei, Hua Yuyin, and Chu Ci had disappeared in front of their eyes. As for Zhuge Ho, when Lin Li was about to leave, he came back to his senses and followed closely behind. A farce for Lin Rei ended happily just like that. Seeing that the 3 most important people had left, it was useless for the crowd to stay. In the end, they all left separately. As the saying goes, everyone should go back to their own homes and find their own mothers. I was so focused on hurrying back that I forgot about fellow Daoist Zhuge. Fellow Daoist Lin, you must be joking. Seeing Lin Rei's reaction, Zhuge Ho hurriedly stopped him and said, I'm sorry to disturb you, fellow Daoist Lin. Alright, let's not stand on ceremony. Let's hurry back. It's not that easy to refine supreme-grade spiritual energy, alright. The 2 of them looked at each other and nodded. Then, they sped up and headed back to their residence. On the way, when he was bored to death, Lin Rei asked Zhuge Ho about the type of weapon he needed. By the way, fellow Daoist Zhuge, what kind of weapon do you like and what do you need? Since you have nothing to do, why don't you tell me about it? Hearing this, Zhuge Ho's eyes lit up. Then, he told Su Mo about the type of weapon he wanted. I like a sword, 2 fingers wide and 1.5 feet long. It would be best if it's a soft sword. Oh. Hearing Zhuge Ho's request, Lin Rei was slightly surprised. He had never refined a soft sword before. Moreover, from what he knew, soft swords were usually used by women because it was easy to hide. Moreover, it was very useful for assassinations. Hearing that Zhuge Ho wanted to use such a weapon, Lin Rei was slightly puzzled. He did not understand why a man would use such a weapon. He had underestimated him. To be honest, the soft sword I mentioned is actually for my daughter to use. She has liked soft swords since she was young and she likes the art of assassination, so. Zhuge Ho said embarrassedly. Oh. Hearing this, Lin Li finally understood that he had been mistaken. This was what was going on. Alright, I'll refine it for you. After saying that, Lin Rei did not say anything else. Since he had confirmed that it was a supreme-grade divine weapon, it would be easy to handle. After a while, the group returned to their residence. Just as Lin Rei returned to his residence, Xia Feng walked out of her room. You're back. Looking at Lin Rei, Xia Feng said indifferently. Lin Rei nodded and said to Xia Feng, well, release the woman I caught the other day. I'll refine a supreme-grade divine weapon. After saying that, Lin Rei went back to his room. The evil phoenix, upon hearing Lin Li's words, felt very unhappy, but in its heart, it still did as it was told. She turned around and went back to her room. When she came out, there was a woman beside her. It was Zhuge Mingyue. Mingyue. At this moment, Zhuge Ho noticed the woman behind Xie Feng. At first glance, who else could it be but his daughter? Father? Zhuge Mingyue, who had just stepped out of the room, was complaining in her heart when she heard a familiar voice. She immediately looked up and saw her father, Zhuge Ho. Immediately, she ran to his side excitedly and hung herself on him. At this moment, Zhuge Mingyue, who was lying in her father's arms, thought of Lin Rei and said cutely, "Father, I was bullied. That person kidnapped me and tied me up for a long time. Oh, who dares to touch me, Zhuge?" Just as Zhuge Ho was about to say something, he remembered that his daughter seemed to have been released by Lin Li. For a moment, the aura that he had just built up was like a deflated balloon at this moment, falling limp. Sensing that something was wrong with her father, Zhuge Mingyue jumped down. When she saw her father's helpless expression, she knew that there was something fishy going on. "Father, what's going on?" Sigh. Looking at his daughter, Zhuge Ho said helplessly, "Mingyue, it's not that I don't want to avenge you. It's just that we can't touch that person. Not to mention your father, even your grandfather wouldn't be able to touch the person who kidnapped you." What? Zhuge Mingyue was shocked. She knew that her grandfather was an expert in the early ultimate god realm. However, her father said that he was no match for Lin Rei. How could she not be shocked? Yes, we can't afford to offend this person. Moreover, he's helping me to forge a supreme-grade sacred weapon. Tell me, how can we touch such a person? Moreover, just now, he used his identity as an honorable grade alchemist to compete with another honorable grade alchemist in the alchemy conference. He won in the end. Moreover, according to my observation, he knows how to use formations. If I'm not wrong, the level of his formations is probably similar to the level of his weapon forging and pill refining. Hiss, at this moment, when she heard that Lin Rei had so many shocking skills, she couldn't help but click her tongue. If he's really that good, not to mention the sword sect, even you guys won't be his match. At this moment, her desire to seek revenge completely disappeared because it was impossible. She probably wouldn't be able to do it in this lifetime. At this moment, in his room, Lin Li took out his trump card. From his storage ring, he took out some top-grade equipment. Finally, from his storage ring, he took out a piece of violet gold soft iron. Lin Li had been reluctant to use this item. He did not expect that because of a promise, he would use it now. Coincidentally, Zhuge Ho wanted to use the software and the purple gold soft iron was suitable to forge a soft sword. Therefore, in the end, Lin Rei could only reluctantly give it up and forge it. Boom, the illusory spirit blood fire appeared instantly. After all, after forging the divine artifact, he had to go into seclusion to treat his eyes. That was the most important thing. Whoosh. Lin Rei controlled the purple gold soft iron and instantly threw it into the illusory spirit blood fire to smelt it. Puff, the moment the purple gold soft iron entered the illusory spirit blood fire, it showed signs of melting. This was the difference between the purple gold soft iron and the purple gold meteoric iron. The purple gold soft iron was particularly good at melting, while the purple gold soft iron was very easy to melt. However, the two iron ores were indeed of the same level. However, if it were an ordinary person, they would choose the purple gold meteoric iron instead of the purple gold soft iron because the soft iron was not very useful. However, the purple gold meteoric iron was different because it could enhance the offensive power of the divine artifact. After watching the purple gold soft iron melt little by little, Lin Rei took out a mass of purple molten iron and put it in a special container. Oh, the master has melted. Let's go crazy. The purple gold soft iron was the backbone of the software. Now that the backbone had been refined, the rest would be easy. Whoosh. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, more than 20 iron ores on the ground were all thrown into the illusory spirit blood fire by Lin Rei and began to melt. At this moment, Lin Rei used all his strength. The temperature of the illusory spirit blood fire was getting hotter and hotter, so much so that the whole house was about to collapse. My cultivation is still too low. As for the strange state of the house, Linley blamed it all on his low level of cultivation. If anyone else heard this, they would definitely be so angry that they would chase him down with a machete and hack him down the streets. In just a short period of 2,000 to 3,000 years, an ordinary person like you had cultivated to the Emperor God realm. Even the heavens' pride in the holy world would not be able to compare with this cultivation speed. Even so, Lin Rei still felt that his cultivation was too low. This was really not leaving him any way out. Time passed by slowly. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. The iron ores in the fire showed signs of melting. Seeing this, Lin Rei smiled. Hee, it's finally melted. As long as it melts, it will be soon. After saying that, the fire became stronger. Kong, at this moment, outside the room, Zhuge He was still waiting. He did not dare to take half a step away. After all, this was for him. Sigh, it would be great if such a genius could be my son-in-law. That's enough. Thinking of this, Zhuge He could not help but smile at Xie Feng. Then, a disappointed expression appeared on his face. The alchemy conference was completely disbanded. When the sects returned to their own sects, they spread the news of what happened at the alchemy conference. Some people even added oil to the fire. Suddenly, the hottest topic in the inner layer of the divine world was the alchemy competition between Lin Rei and another mysterious woman. Whether it was eating, strolling on the streets, or going to the martial arts arena, everyone was talking about Lin Rei. Suddenly, Lin Rei became the focal point of the entire divine world. Of course, people were not afraid of fame. Pigs were not afraid of being fat. Ever since the news of Lin Rei's strength spread, some people were not convinced. In the end, they gathered in Qiong City to challenge Lin Rei and become famous. Lin Rei, who was refining the divine weapon, did not know about all this. Of course, even if he knew, he would just laugh it off. At the very least, he would kill all those who came to challenge him as a warning to others. At this time, more than 10 days had passed. In the room, Lin Rei, who was sitting cross-legged, smiled. Finally, all of you have turned into molten iron. Looking at the molten iron in the fire, he found a special container and put the molten iron in. Phew, after doing all this, Lin Rei breathed a sigh of relief. However, he immediately tensed up again. After all, the next step was the final refining. Thinking about the style of the divine weapon that Zhuge He wanted, spiritual energy rushed out of his body and formed a sword embryo. This sword embryo was made strictly according to Zhuge He's requirements. Everything was ready except for the east wind. Seeing that the sword embryo was ready, he poured the molten iron into the sword embryo according to the order in his heart. Each and every one of these materials could cause a bloodbath in the divine world. Thinking about it, Lin Rei felt that he had suffered a great loss. However, as a person, honesty was the most important thing. Since he had promised, he had to do it. Watching as the longsword slowly took shape, Lin Li took out some liquid violet gold soft iron, then applied a layer of seal to it. 10,000 hammers smelting heavenly art, merge. With a loud shout, he activated the forging technique. Lin Li's palms clenched into fists, and then one punch after another landed on the longsword within the embryonic form. Peng, peng peng peng, that tapping sound caused Lin Li to feel a hint of joy in his heart. At the same time, Lin Rei could feel that his spiritual energy in other aspects were slowly improving. Following which, a series of knocking sounds reverberated throughout the entire room. Spirit gathering array, merge, in the instant that Lin Li hammered the longsword, one formation after another was imprinted onto the longsword by Lin Li's hammering technique. Divine flame pattern, blade pattern. Chapter 743. One by one, the honorable level formations and runes were fused into the flexible sword by Lin Rei at the fastest speed possible. Of course, even though they were honorable level runes and formations, most of them were small and simple, unlike the Sect protection formation. After all, this was just refining a weapon, and the flexible sword couldn't withstand the support of the startling formation. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. During this period, Lin Rei's mental state had been at its most tense. Moreover, during this period of time, he had been fusing formations, runes, and refining weapons. Even an honorable level cultivator couldn't withstand it. At this moment, Lin Rei's face was pale and his breathing was weak, as if he would faint at any moment. It was worrying. Phew. Soon, feeling that the weapon was about to be completed, Lin Rei was delighted. To be honest, if not counting the worldly splendor, this was his first time refining a supreme-grade weapon in the truest sense of the word. Moreover, he pursued perfection too much. Therefore, it was inevitable that he would expend a lot of energy. Of course, outside, Zhuge Hou and the rest, including Xia Feng, had been waiting. After not seeing Lin Rei for such a long time, Xia Feng was very anxious. This was the first time that he had taken so long to refine a weapon. Weapon complete, finally, at this moment, after the last formation was engraved on the flexible sword, the supreme-grade weapon was finally completed. Huff huff huff, at this moment, the originally clear sky was blown by a strong wind. Vaguely, everyone could feel a trace of the pressure of heaven and earth in the wind. Although it was very faint, but everyone present was a powerful cultivator. How could they not be able to receive it? Rumble. Rumble, suddenly, the originally clear blue sky suddenly lost its color. One black cloud after another began to gather from every direction. Finally, with Linley's room at the center, it began to disperse in every direction. The sound of rolling thunder reached everyone's ears at this moment. At the same time, the pressure of heaven and earth instantly pressed down, crushing everyone's bodies. Cultivators below Sir God Fan were all suppressed by the pressure of heaven and earth at this moment without exception. Hiss, at this moment, outside the door, Zhuge Hou could feel the thunderclouds in the sky. Immediately, he looked at Lin Rei's room with a burning gaze. At this moment, combined with the sudden change in the environment and the thunderclouds in the sky, the only thing he could think of was the completion of the divine weapon. The heaven and earth lightning tribulation. Apart from the baptism of the lightning tribulation and tempering oneself, there were also heaven-defying formations, talismans, pills, and heaven-shaking divine artifacts. It originally wanted to destroy the long sword, but now that it was provoking it, the heaven's retribution could not ignore it. Suddenly, a lightning whip as thick as an arm rushed towards the purple Qilin sword. It was extremely fast and powerful. At this moment, everyone was filled with worry. This was because everyone thought that when a divine weapon went through the heaven's retribution, there would usually be a weapon refiner by its side to help it through the heaven's retribution. But now, everyone only saw the long sword and did not see the weapon refiner. This made everyone worried. At the same time, they felt sorry for the divine weapon that was resisting the heaven's retribution. Of course, this included Zhuge Hou. He wanted to rush up to help the sword, but he knew that if he did, the heaven's retribution would increase by several times. This way, the long sword would be in even more danger. In the end, his impulse was suppressed. He could only stay on the ground and look at the long sword in the sky while praying silently in his heart. Whoosh! Just as the lightning whip was about to collide with the long sword, the crowd could not bear to watch and instinctively closed their eyes. At this moment, they felt the power of the lightning whip. The purple Qilin sword trembled and a shocking sword aura rushed out. Finally, the sword aura turned into a gigantic sword and collided with the lightning whip. Kacha, a strange sound was heard. The moment the gigantic sword aura collided with the lightning whip did not resist at all and instantly shattered into pieces. Then, it dissipated into the air. Ah, good. Strong indeed. At this moment, Lin Rei, who was in the room, spied on the situation in the sky through the giant hole above his head. When he saw that Lin Rei's first heaven's retribution was easily blocked by the purple Qilin sword, he was relieved. After all, a divine weapon's retribution was not like a cultivator's retribution. A divine weapon's retribution only had 4 bolts of retribution, but a supreme god's retribution had 81 bolts of retribution. That was no joke. If one was not careful, the final result would be a body smashed to pieces and not even a corpse would be left behind. Even if one's soul could enter the cycle of reincarnation. No, it could not be guaranteed that one's soul would remain in this world. When he saw the gigantic sword aura emitted by the purple Qilin sword, he knew that this level of heaven's retribution was useless against it. Relieved, Linley straightened out his clothes, then opened the door and walked out. However, the divine weapon that was refined this time is very strong. It can fight on its own and even release such a terrifying sword aura. TSK. Kid, you've improved on the path of craftsmanship. Linley didn't know where he had come from, but as soon as he stepped out of his room, a red-robed demonic phoenix appeared in front of him and spoke out in praise. Why don't you take a look at who refined it? Lin Rei was already used to Xia Feng's appearance. After all, her appearance was similar to that of the little dragon. Therefore, Lin Rei was not too surprised. Tisk, cocky fart. Seeing Lin Rei's narcissism, Xia Feng rolled her eyes at him and let him understand the meaning behind her words. Boom. Gotcha. Just as Lin Rei and Xia Feng finished their conversation, the lightning whip appeared again. However, this time, it was 3 to 4 times stronger than before. It was as thick as Lin Rei's waist. Wang, feeling the power of the heaven's retribution, the purple Qilin sword shook and a gigantic sword aura appeared. Whoosh! At this moment, without waiting for the heaven's retribution to act, the gigantic sword aura moved first. The gigantic sword aura disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. When it reappeared, it was right in front of the heaven's retribution. Then, without hesitation, it pierced the heaven's retribution towards the heaven's retribution without any hesitation. Gotcha. Gotcha, the same scene happened again. The second heaven's retribution was dispersed by the gigantic sword. However, the gigantic sword did not disappear because of the disappearance of the second heaven's retribution. Instead, its aura disappeared and it rushed towards the heaven's retribution. At the same time, Lin Rei felt the purple Qilin sword's actions. Instantly, his face changed and he knew something was wrong. If it was a normal heaven's retribution, it would be fine. However, if the sword aura rushed into the heaven's retribution and caused the heaven's retribution to dissipate prematurely, what awaited was an even more terrifying heaven's retribution. Thinking of this, Lin Rei did not stop. In the next moment, his body disappeared from the spot. At this moment, he knew the purple Qilin sword's intention. Immediately, he rushed towards the sky at his fastest speed, wanting to stop it. But, it seemed like it was too late. The gigantic sword aura rushed towards the heaven's retribution. Suddenly, rays of purple light came down from the heaven's retribution. Boom, F***ck, shit. Feeling the heaven's retribution disappear, he knew that it was too late. Thinking of the powerful heaven's retribution, Lin Rei felt helpless. He did not expect the sword to act so recklessly. But at the same time, he was shocked by the sword's recklessness. One had to know that a legendary weapon could not fight on its own, let alone disperse the heaven's retribution. With pride in his heart, Lin Rei sensed that the heaven's retribution was dispersing. Immediately, he appeared in front of the purple Qilin sword in a flash and grabbed it in his hand. Then, he turned around and rushed towards Xia Feng. Sigh. What a troublemaker. It's fine if he's a troublemaker, but I didn't expect that the legendary weapon he created would be so troublesome as well. Chapter 744. Oh my god, that's hell of blood. At this moment, all the cultivators in Qiong City, including the ordinary people, could feel the powerful and evil aura from the sky. The evil aura was on a completely different level from the Black Lightning Tribulation. The previous Lightning Tribulation would at most immobilize the cultivators, but this hell of blood was the most terrifying one among all the tribulation clouds. The hell of blood was a weapon tribulation. Only a heaven-defying weapon could attract such a lightning tribulation. Not only could it destroy the weapon, but it could also corrode the person who made it. Although the person who was suppressed by it would not be directly hit by the lightning tribulation, their body and subsequent cultivation would be damaged to a certain extent. This hell of blood was something that all weapon refiners, cultivators, and even body cultivators did not want to encounter. It was because of its tyrannical, evil, and plundering power that no one could tolerate. Even so, it was enough to prove that the weapon used to pass the tribulation was beyond the immortal state. Otherwise, it would not be able to summon such a lightning tribulation. At the same time, how could some greedy people not be tempted by such a treasure? At this moment, all the cultivators who came from all directions within a radius of 1,000 feet all looked at the purple Qilin sword in Lin Rei's hand. Their eyes were filled with greed and viciousness. At this moment, everyone was tempted by greed. They wanted to get the sword. At the same time, the rogue cultivators, demonic cultivators, body cultivators, demons, and even the dwarves who prided themselves on refining weapons were all tempted by the sword. No matter who got the sword, it would not take long for them to be able to ignore the top supreme gods in the realm of the gods. They wanted it because they had just become the rulers of this realm. At the same time, Lin Rei did not expect that the supreme grade sacred weapon he made would cause such a consequence. At the same time, he was proud of his crafting skills. At the same time, he fantasized in his heart, Tisk, if everyone in the Xuanzong sect were to use this kind of divine weapon, the power would be unimaginable. Of course, this was only Lin Rei's fantasy. After all, it would take such a long time to refine a single sword. If 30 or 40,000 people were to use such a divine weapon, it would take hundreds or thousands of years to refine. He couldn't afford such a price, nor did he want to bear it. After all, the current sect master of the Xuanzong sect was him. Coming back to his senses, Lin Rei could sense the vicious and greedy gazes from thousands of feet away. His originally smiling face suddenly turned cold. He had been happy that he had managed to forge such a weapon, but now, there were these people who didn't want to play and came to cause trouble. Looking at them, he glanced at Xie Feng in the sky. Suddenly, a murderous aura rushed out and soared into the sky. At this moment, he was angry. There was a legend in the profound sky world that when Lin Rei was angry, blood would dye thousands of miles. When the demon god appeared, bones would dry up for thousands of years. Of course, Lin Rei naturally knew about these rumors, but he didn't want to. If it weren't for those who didn't want to play and challenged him, causing the deaths of his wives and children, he wouldn't have done that. Now, Lin Rei naturally wouldn't be so impulsive. After all, every time he killed someone who had no enmity with him, it would be his own karma in the end. He had to pay it back, and it was very troublesome. All of you, don't enter within a radius of 300 meters. Keep your greedy hearts in check. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen. At this moment, Linley was extremely mischievous, and he had an amused expression as he spoke. Of course, he knew that his words were very inappropriate. Those people wouldn't stop. Instead, they would become more active. Indeed, the moment Lin Rei finished speaking, a late god emperor who hadn't left stood out and replied to Lin Rei with a cold murderous aura, "Blind man, I'll also give you a chance. Hand over the sword in your hand. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that I won't do anything overboard." That's right. Look at yourself. You've already become a blind man, yet you still dare to jump out. Don't lose your sword and lose your life for nothing. You'd better obediently hand over the sword in your hand. Otherwise, I'll let you die without a complete corpse. At this moment, it was even worse than what Lin Rei had expected. Everyone pointed at his nose and scolded him for being blind. Suddenly, Lin Rei's smiling face froze. If the people of the Xuanzong sect were here and saw Lin Rei's current appearance, they would definitely tremble with fear. Without saying anything, they would immediately run away. This was because they knew that Linley had definitely been enraged by that look. Hong Long Long, Kacha, right now, just as Linley was about to explode with rage, an enormous, blood-colored dragon that was as thick as Linley's waist suddenly charged out of the red tribulation clouds, charging towards the demonic phoenix. Heh, feeling the strangeness in the air, Lin Ray smiled. Then, he circulated his cultivation and disappeared from the eyes of the crowd. Where did he go? At this moment, Lin Ray's disappearance was too strange. Even the late God Emperor was stunned. His gaze and spiritual sense were all activated, trying to search for the figure of the blind man who had disappeared. But, none of this was what he had expected. Before he could find the figure of the man, Anne's soft sword was already pressed against his throat. At this moment, the soft sword emitted a bit of cold light, but this cold intent was comparable to that of 10,000 years old ice. At this moment, the body of that late-stage God Emperor seemed to have been immobilized by the body-fixing technique, causing him to be rooted to the ground. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with fear and hesitation. His forehead was covered in cold sweat, which finally flowed down his cheeks. At this moment, he felt the killing intent behind him and the soft sword emitting endless sword chi. He was afraid. He was no longer as arrogant as before. Let me think. What did you say just now? At this moment, behind the man was Linley, who had disappeared from his original spot. At this moment, Lin Ray was standing behind the man. His violet Qilin sword was pressed against the man's throat. The bright red blood stain was very eye-catching. Senior, I was wrong. This little one has eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please. His life was in the hands of others. Admitting defeat was a way to survive. It was better than losing his life. Wrong? Looking at the man, an amused smile appeared on Linley's face. With a disdainful look, he said softly, earlier, this sovereign had already said that if you retreated, everything would be fine. But you didn't listen? Then what should we do? To prevent future troubles, I'll kill anyone who steps within 300 meters. What? You? Hearing this, the man was shocked. He did not expect this blind man to be so decisive. Don't worry, I'm very merciful. I won't let you feel any pain. No, I. No matter how the man struggled, he could not get away from Lin Ray's palm. Pooh! A strange sound rang out, resounding in everyone's ears. They saw a bloody hole appear in the God Palace in the man's dantian. His dantian and God Palace were destroyed. The man's cultivation of a late God Emperor was gone. At this moment, he was crippled. Feeling the pain coming from his dantian, he felt his entire cultivation going down the drain. He regretted it. Miserable cries came out from the man's mouth continuously. A strand of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His face turned pale, and he felt powerless. His body went limp, and he sat on the ground. His face was filled with an aura of death, and he stared at Linley angrily, as if he wanted nothing more than to skin Linley alive and tear out his tendons. At this moment, everyone was startled. At this moment, the few people who were the first to provoke the other party were all stunned. They could not move at all. Their faces were filled with shock and fear. Cold sweat started forming on their foreheads. At this moment, no one dared to take another step forward. They had seen the consequences and price that late God Emperor had to pay. At this moment, everyone was afraid. They could feel the deep fear of death. They regretted it. It's a pity that there was no medicine for regret in this world. Hence, they would be killed mercilessly like that man. At this moment, no one was in the mood to admire the scene of Xia Feng crushing the blood dragon in the air. At this moment, Lin Ray appeared in front of another person in a flash. He stared at him with his consciousness and smiled evilly. The other person's hair stood on end. No, pest, he didn't even let out a scream. It was a clean, crisp move. Lin Li attacked, instantly crushing his opponent's dantian and his own head. Finally, he took the storage ring from his opponent's finger, then flashed towards the other person. In this period of time, he only spent 3 breaths to get rid of a powerful cultivator who could shake a region. This method of killing people like cutting vegetables stunned Zhuge He, who was watching from a distance. Zhuge Mingyue's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, the two of them were convinced by Lin Rei's powerful methods. Kacha! Kacha! In the air, Xia Feng's speed became faster and faster. In the end, Xia Feng frowned and felt impatient. She pointed to the sky and roared, "I've given you face, haven't I? There's no end to it." Phoenix cry 9 heavens, Xia Feng looked impatient. She casually made a hand seal. Suddenly, a fire phoenix dozens of feet long appeared and rushed towards the huge bloody hell. Boom, crack, Xia Feng's attack was also sensed by the bloody hell in the air. Suddenly, a terrifying pressure appeared, accompanied by a shocking blood dragon that rushed towards the fire phoenix. A woo, roar, when a dragon and a phoenix fought, one of them was bound to be injured. The two extremely powerful attacks collided in an instant. Rumble. Lin Li, who had been watching the pill concocting this entire time, was completely astonished. In his heart, he knew that the blood dragon which had just emerged from the hell of blood was not something he could fight back against. Of course, if he had to pay a price, then, perhaps there was a 75% chance of success. At the same time, at this moment, he once again examined Xia Feng's strength. Although he knew that Xia Feng's cultivation was in the Saint Realm, Xia Feng did not indicate what level she was in the Saint Realm. When he looked behind him, the beautiful scene from before was now gone. At this moment, he knew that killing the chicken to warn the monkey was enough. Immediately, he killed the man in his hand and put him away in his storage ring. Then, he suddenly rose into the air and shouted, "Anyone who comes within 300 meters of me will be killed without mercy." Chapter 745. At this moment, no one dared to refute or take a step forward. After all, Lin Rei's strength was clear for all to see. If someone were to enter at this moment, they would either think that they were stronger than Lin Rei or be a fool. Very well. Seeing everyone's reactions, a hint of a smile appeared on Lin Li's face. Then, he turned around and walked towards Zhuge He. At this moment, his hand was already filled with storage rings. These were all his spoils of war from earlier. Heh, all trash. Looking at his level on the surface of the rings, Lin Rei was full of disdain. He did not use these things when he was in the immortal world. Of course, although he said that, it was inevitable that there would be some loopholes in the rings. However, he did not look at them now. Instead, he put them all in the system. Moreover, when Xia Feng killed people, she also got some storage rings. At this moment, Lin Rei put them all together. Taoist Lin Rei is indeed domineering and powerful. At this moment, seeing Lin Rei, who was like the god of death, standing in front of him, Zhuge He immediately said respectfully. In his words, he did not dare to show any disrespect. After the battle just now, he had completely divided himself and Lin Rei into 2 different people. He was at the bottom, while Lin Rei was at the top. He was an existence that could not be reached. He was not, Taoist Zhuge, you must be joking. They are all small fries. If you were in their place, you would probably do better than me. Knowing what Zhuge He meant, Lin Rei quickly greeted him. Zhuge He smiled and didn't say anything else. However, Zhuge Mingyue's gaze towards Lin Li was filled with admiration, envy, and a sense of admiration that she shouldn't have. After all, such a powerful existence would be a hero in every woman's heart. Coincidentally, Lin Rei met the standard of a hero in Zhuge Mingyue's heart. Oh, right. At this moment, Lin Rei suddenly thought of something and hurriedly handed the purple Qilin sword to Zhuge He, saying, "This sword is called the purple Qilin sword." The name of the sword naturally appeared when it was forged. It is truly blessed by the heavens. This, although he had just arrived at this moment, he hesitated after seeing the might of the sword. There were so many people who wanted to snatch it from him earlier. If he were to put it away now, it would probably cause others to kill him for it. Although he was a member of the Milk Sword Sect, but there might be some people who were blinded by greed and wanted to rob him. Perhaps some sects would be jealous and then kill him to steal the treasure. They might even destroy the corpse and destroy the evidence. Father, although Zhuge He thought so, Zhuge Mingyue didn't think so. After all, who wouldn't want to play with such a powerful weapon? Moreover, the flexible sword was very beautiful. Take it. Lin Rei knew what Zhuge He was thinking. After all, if the ancient corpse burial ground was going to open, they would probably go too. If he said, it would probably cause a lot of trouble. He wouldn't get involved in this kind of business. Yes, I don't know why, but the ancient corpse burial ground has been moving in and out during this period of time. It seems like the Corpse King has appeared. Many people are very jealous of the Corpse King's unique corpse core. Moreover, those who entered the ancient corpse burial ground have never come out. One can imagine how dangerous it is inside. At the same time, danger and opportunity coexist. The ancient corpse burial ground is a place that has never been explored. There are countless divine medicines inside. Therefore, various sects will take the opportunity to search for corpse cores and plunder it. Oh. At this time, Lin Rei heard Zhuge He's words and immediately frowned. Now, he had to get the corpse core faster than those people. Otherwise, his life would be in danger. Gotcha. However, just when Lin Rei was in a daze and thinking, thunder roared in the sky. He saw a blood dragon instantly coming out of the thunder clouds and descending towards Xie Feng. At this moment, Zhuge He saw it. His face turned pale and his whole body couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, not only Zhuge He, but even Lin Rei was a little shocked. Perhaps even he would find it difficult to withstand this lightning tribulation. Of course, if he wanted to withstand it, he would have to pay a painful price. However, Xie Feng stood in the sky with a calm face as if nothing had happened. It was as if she didn't care about the existence of the red dragon. Willful, too damn willful. This was the only thing Lin Rei could think of. In the sky, Xie Feng, who was standing in the sky, raised her head slightly and looked at the blood dragon that was coming towards her. The corners of her mouth curled up into a disdainful smile. If this scene were to be seen by others, they would probably be scared silly. Woo! The dragon's roar reverberated throughout the 9 heavens and 10 earths as if it wanted to break through the heavens and earth. Aunt, how dare you be so arrogant in front of me? What are you waiting for? Back off. Looking at the blood dragon, Xie Feng frowned. The pressure of the true phoenix rushed out and formed an invisible phoenix. Instantly, it rushed towards the blood dragon. Its speed was so fast that even the reincarnation of the Kuan Peng might not be able to reach it. The phoenix spread its wings and appeared in front of the blood dragon in an instant. Then, without hesitation, it crashed into the blood dragon. Boom, gotcha. At this moment, in everyone's eyes, the blood dragon collapsed for no reason. However, in Lin Rei's eyes, it was different. After all, his spiritual energy and consciousness were incomparable to those in the realm of the gods. However, there was always a trace of hope in his heart. That was because he did not want to believe that his younger siblings had already passed away. Just like this, because he was unable to leave, he stayed here. Furthermore, he went deeper, deeper, and deeper, and deeper, defeating the experts of the ancient corpse trove step by step. 1,000 years later, he became the king of the ancient corpse trove. Furthermore, he had cultivated a rare corpse core. In the past, there would also be some people who would recklessly come to the ancient corpse trove. Thus, in order to leave, Gu Feng, who wanted to leave, spread a rumor that as long as he could obtain the corpse core of a corpse king, he would be able to increase his cultivation. In fact, he might even be able to break through the deity realm and reach the saint realm. Cultivators love to hear such words and treasures the most. Sure enough, when this news spread, the entire deity realm was shaken. In the end, every few hundred years or even 1,000 years, there would be a group of people who would enter the ancient corpse trove. In the end, they would all be cruelly killed by Gu Feng. When they were 7,000 years old, Gu Feng would obtain the information he wanted to know. Then, he would cruelly kill them without any trace of emotion. After all, he was someone who had already died once. Although he was alive now, he did not have a heartbeat or a pulse. He only had the ability to stand up and walk, as well as think. This time around, it was the opening of the hidden ground that happened only once in 1,000 years. However, to Gu Feng's excitement, he felt that the spirit formation sealing him was slowly disappearing. Regarding this, he was very excited. He wanted to leave. He wanted to verify whether his relatives had truly left. Plop. At this moment, a man suddenly appeared. With a respectful expression, he stood in front of Gu Feng and asked, reporting to the Zong master, "This time, are we going to kill all the people who come here as usual?" Yes. After coming back to his senses and hearing his subordinate's question, Gu Feng fell into deep thought. He had not thought about this question. He only wanted to leave as soon as possible and had forgotten about this matter. A few minutes later, Gu Feng came back to his senses. He turned to look at the man kneeling on the ground and said, "Just like in the past, kill all the people who come here. Leave none alive. However, in the future, you don't need to bring those people to me. You guys can stay here. The blood vessels in their bodies are very powerful. You guys should hurry up and cultivate. Otherwise, when I leave this time, I will not feel at ease leaving such a big mess to you guys." You're leaving?" At this moment, the man was shocked. He looked at Gu Feng with a blank expression. He knew about the spirit formation. Back then, he also wanted to go out. Yes, he was impulsive. However, because of the spirit formation, he couldn't go out at all. Now that he heard that the Zong master was going out, how could he not be shocked? He respected the Zong master a lot. He could not think of a second person who could unify the fragmented ancient corpse trove in 1,000 years. Yes. He didn't hide anything from the man in front of him. I can feel it. That barrier is slowly weakening me. That's why I want to go out and see if my family is still there. Although I know it's a silly idea, but I want to try. What if something unexpected happens? However, don't worry. If I really can't find them, I will come back immediately and cultivate in peace. I want to ascend to the holy realm as soon as possible. Good. At this moment, the man laughed. This is the Gu Feng I know, the Zong master of the ancient corpse trove. That's the kind of courage you need. You brat. Hearing the man's flattery, Gu Feng felt very helpless. Alright, you can go now. At most, I will be able to leave in 30 years. Yes, good. The man nodded and then left. Sigh. I hope you won't disappoint me this time. You can really let me out and give me freedom. Looking at the man's back, Gu Feng turned around and looked into the distance again. He was confused. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 22 years had passed. At this moment, a rumbling sound came from the ancient corpse trove. At this moment, the strange movement of the ancient corpse trove caused the 7 sects in the divine realm, as well as some smaller sects and families, to send people to the ancient corpse trove. Although they knew that there was no news of those who entered in the past, this time, they were led by their seniors. Moreover, for the treasures inside, they were willing to go in wave after wave. All of the major sects in the firmament had sent out their most valuable treasures. Even some of the sect leaders of the major sects had personally taken part in the expedition, all for the sake of obtaining the treasures in the ancient corpse vault as well as the corpse cores in the corpse king's bodies. At this moment, in the most authoritative heavenly temple in the sword sect, Zhuge Ho was sitting on the seat of the sect leader. He looked at the 6 elders and the 12 protectors with a serious and hesitant expression. What do you think? This time, should we participate in the expedition to the ancient corpse trove? According to the past, those who could come out from the ancient corpse trove had a 90% chance of dying. Furthermore, only 1 or 2 of them came out alive. However, the treasures that those 2 people brought with them are indeed like the expenses of our sect. That's 100 years' worth of expenses for a sect. Hearing the words of Zhuge He, the 18 elders and protectors of the sword sect were similarly hesitant. They knew about this problem, but they were unsure if they should go or not. Seeing one of them refining pills and the other cultivating, he had nothing to do, so he entered the system. After arriving at the scripture pavilion, he began to search for more powerful battle techniques. Time slowly passed. With Lin Rei's investigation and the others cultivating, the night passed in the blink of an eye. The next morning, Chu Xi, who was refining pills, had already lost her red complexion and was replaced by a pale white color. Wang. A white light instantly shot out of the pill furnace. At this moment, Chu Xi, who was originally tense, completely relaxed. However, because of the excessive spiritual energy and mental energy in the pill furnace, Chu Xi directly fell backward the moment she relaxed her nerves. I finally succeeded in refining. At this moment, although Chu Xi's face was pale, it was full of smiles. You refined it? The moment Chu Xi collapsed, Lin Rei, who had been searching for battle techniques in the scripture pavilion, knew that the next day had arrived. Then, he walked out of the system. Unexpectedly, the moment he did, he sensed that Chu Xi had succeeded in refining the pill. Yes, young master. The pill that I refined can be considered to be a low-grade grandmaster pill, the Vajra pill. Oh. Vajra pill. Hearing the name of the pill that Chu Xi had refined, Lin Rei was stunned. He knew that the Vajra pill could be said to be very difficult to refine. Even a mid-grade grandmaster alchemist might not be able to refine it in a day. Thinking about it, Lin Rei, who was a little skeptical, pointed his right hand at the pill furnace. Suddenly, a suction force appeared. Whoosh! Suddenly, a golden pill rushed out of the pill furnace and landed perfectly in Lin Rei's hand. When he looked at the pill in his hand and saw that it was really the Vajra pill, he knew that Chu Xi had become a grandmaster alchemist. Chapter 749. Lin Rei's eyes were filled with gratification. After all, he was the only venerable grade alchemist in the sect. Everyone else was still growing and couldn't be of much use. But now, they had Chu Xi, an ancestor grade alchemist. Although he was still a primary grade alchemist, his name alone was enough to match 10 emperor grade alchemists. Not bad. He smiled appreciatively and walked over to Chu Xi's side, squatting down. Seeing his weak appearance, Lin Rei sighed inwardly. He's still a little too eager. It seems I'll have to find an opportunity to refine some pills that can increase his spiritual power. Lin Rei took out a recovery pill from his ring and stuffed it into Chu Xi's mouth. He then circulated his spiritual energy and placed his palm on Chu Xi's chest, slowly helping him refine the tyrannical medicinal energy of the pill. Even though he was a middle-stage god emperor, and was indeed a giant in the eyes of others, he was nothing in front of the pills concocted by Lin Li. Whether it was in terms of alchemy or cultivation, he couldn't compare to Lin Rei. At this moment, Yun Kai, who had been cultivating to the side, had already woken up. She was guarding Chu Xi, not leaving his side for even an inch. Looking at Yun Kai, Lin Rei nodded. All right, he's fine now. He'll be fine after eating the pill. Lin Rei withdrew his hand from Chu Xi's chest and stood up. He didn't want to disturb the two and directly walked out. However, when Lin Rei reached the door, he seemed to have thought of something. He stopped and said, "Oh right, when you're done resting, quickly come to the dining room in front. Xie Feng and I will wait for you." With a bang, the door closed and Lin Rei's figure disappeared from the room. At this moment, Yun Kai, who was in the room, carried Chu Ci and placed him on the bed. She then waited for him to wake up. She was also an alchemist, so she knew what it felt like to overexert one's spiritual power. After coming out of the room, Lin Rei walked on the path to eat. The two sides of the path were no longer as damaged by him as before. At this moment, the two sides of the path were filled with colorful jokes. It was very beautiful and moving. On the road, the fragrance of flowers floated in the air. When one smelled it, it gave one a feeling of lingering and forgetting to go back. In addition to the house that he created with his magic, the scene at this moment could be described as a paradise on earth. However, even in this paradise on earth, Lin Rei was helpless. It was not because of anything else, but because when he came out of the room, the little tail behind him followed him again. The person Little Tail was referring to was none other than Hua Yuan. Not for anything else, but for the 9 revolution mixed yuan pellet. Lin Rei felt very helpless about this. He had also tried to persuade her to leave. After all, although he had met her once, there was no interaction between them. Friends? Furthermore, there are rumors that for the opening of the ancient corpse vault, some old undying people have all come out of closed-door cultivation. Their purpose is to obtain the corpse core from the corpse king of the ancient corpse vault. Oh. Is there such a thing? At this moment, this conversation entered Lin Rei's ears. Immediately, Lin Rei's interest was piqued. He listened to their discussion with great interest. Speaking of which, I don't know where the rumor came from. It says that the corpse core can increase one's lifespan, improve one's cultivation, and various other benefits. Look, those old undying people can no longer improve after cultivating to the Tao's sovereign realm. You have to know that it has been hundreds of thousands of years in the divine world to reach the saint realm. And those old undying people's lifespan is about to reach its end. Some of them are already dead, but they insist on using divine medicine to prolong their lives. How can they give up on such a good thing when they hear that it can increase their lifespan? Damn, this, interesting. At this moment, Lin Rei, who was in the restaurant, laughed. His face was full of interest. Why didn't I know that the corpse core can increase one's lifespan? At this moment, Lin Rei was both interested and puzzled. He couldn't understand how the corpse core could be related to lifespan. Nonsense. Isn't this nonsense? Just as Lin Rei was curious and puzzled, the system's angry voice exploded directly in Lin Rei's ears. Oh. What is the function of the corpse core? He knew that the system must know something about it. The corpse core can be a kind of pill called the heavenly corpse core. This kind of pill can control all the people who have swallowed it. Of course, this kind of pill, with your current Dan realm, Hearing the system's words, Lin Rei was speechless. However, out of curiosity, he directly deleted the unpleasant words and began to ask what he was interested in. Besides refining the heavenly corpse core, is there any other use? For example, increasing one's cultivation, or... Don't guess blindly. Before Lin Rei finished speaking, the system directly cut him off. The corpse core has only one use, and that is to refine the heavenly corpse core. It has no other use. Oh, no, it has another use. Oh. What is it? Lin Rei asked excitedly. It is the corpse core. In addition to refining the heavenly corpse core, it can also be used as a poison, and its medicinal effect is very strong. Even you can't cure it. At this moment, Lin Rei did not pay attention to the system's words. At the same time, after listening to the system's words, he knew that the conversation between the two people just now was pure nonsense. There was no such thing at all. However, if there was no such thing, then where did these rumors come from? Was all this too coincidental? Sure enough, just when the Pai Xiu was thinking, Lin Rei opened his mouth and said exactly the same as him. Then, he immediately said the three-nose policy that he had thought of before. So sure. Looking at the Pai Xiu's straightforward refusal, for a moment, Lin Rei asked awkwardly. Yes, I'm so sure, you. Seeing that the Pai Xiu was so stubborn, Lin Rei was silent. The last time you came, you asked me to give you a drop of blood essence. You said that the thing that you can say must not be a small matter, so it's normal that I don't agree. Facing Lin Rei's silence, the Pai Xiu panicked. Although he said the three no's policy, he was a bit uncertain about Lin Rei. After all, Lin Rei was the kind of person who farts silently, and every time, it was a big fart. Listening to the words of the Pai Xiu, Lin Rei thought about it and then took out a 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan. Since this pill was useful for Xie Feng, it would be even more useful for the Pai Xiu. Sure enough, as soon as the pill was taken out, the medicinal fragrance drifted in the air. The Pai Xiu's body suddenly stood up and whispered with a shocked face, 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan? This is 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan, yes, it must be. As he said, his eyes locked on the small pill in Lin Rei's hand. It really is. At this moment, the Pai Xiu smiled with surprise. The 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan could be said to be of great use to him. How could he not like it? Give it to me, whatever you want, I will agree to it as long as you supply me with the 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan. Thinking of the previous Pai Xiu's unyielding appearance, for a moment, after thinking about it, Lin Rei had the urge to laugh out loud. However, seeing that the Pai Xiu finally agreed, Lin Rei quickly said, well, as long as you agree, I will give you the 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan. Whoosh, as soon as his voice fell, a white wave of air instantly came out of the Pai Xiu's mouth, and then instantly came in front of Lin Rei, rolled up the 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan in Lin Rei's hand, and finally accurately fell into the mouth of the Pai Xiu. Phew. Awesome. At this moment, the Pai Xiu was very satisfied, but he was very curious about how Lin Rei refined such a high-grade pill. How did you refine the 9 revolutions Hunyuan Dan? As far as I know, only that old fart Hong Jun has this kind of pill. You, Hong Jun? Old fart? Hearing the question of the Pai Xiu, Lin Rei was stunned. He knew about Hong Jun. Now, the enemy said that he was old fart. However, Lin Rei did not stay on this question for long, and immediately explained, I got this by accident, you don't have to care about the rest, you just need to know that I can give you what you want, that's enough. Hearing this, the Pai Xiu nodded his head. That's true. Tell me, what do you want me to do? Chapter 753. At this moment, everyone understood what Lin Rei was saying and looked towards the direction he was looking at. At this moment, everyone stopped being relaxed and tensed up. They were on high alert. Sigh. Under everyone's gaze, a beautiful lady came out from the darkness. Her speed was not very fast. Looking at the beautiful lady, Chu Ci frowned and was shocked. Isn't this the lady boss of Storm House, a hierarch expert? At this moment, other than Lin Rei and Xie Feng, Chu Ci were extremely nervous. They were nothing in front of a hierarch. How did you find me? The jade-faced Rakshasa stared at Linli, a look of surprise on her face. She didn't understand. She felt as though she hadn't made any mistakes at all, and the difference in power between the two of them was simply too great. TSK. Hearing her question, Lin Rei chuckled and said, it's easy if you want to know. Bring me the best wine in Storm House and I'll tell you. Of course, you have no choice. As he spoke, a wave of killing intent surged out towards the jade-faced Rakshasa. At this moment, Linli was no longer as gentle as before. The current him was like the god of death descending upon the world. There seemed to be no life left in the surroundings. Because from the moment you started following us, your life no longer belongs to you. So, you have no choice. Oh. The jade-faced Rakshasa frowned and had a bad premonition. She had not had this feeling since she stepped into the Emperor God realm. She did not expect it to happen today. Moreover, it was on such a young man, whose cultivation was one level lower than hers. This made her very puzzled. Looking at her puzzled expression, Lin Rei smiled and pointed at her feet. He said confidently, "You can try. Let's see if your hierarch realm is stronger or if my hierarch realm killing formation is stronger. Of course, I am very confident in my killing formation. But if you don't believe me, I can be kind and demonstrate it to you. Of course, if that's the case, your life, I will." After saying that, Lin Rei shrugged indifferently. He looked very cold-blooded. "What, you?" When the jade-faced Rakshasa heard these words and combined them with Lin Rei's calmness and performance, he continuously released his divine sense to investigate the area beneath his feet. As the saying goes, it is better to believe than not. If it is true, then, he had heard of an honorable array master before. Moreover, there was an honorable array master in the god realm. Moreover, he was an old man. Even if a peak honorable realm cultivator entered the killing array, even if they did not die in the end, even if they managed to escape from the array, they would not be able to fight anymore. At that time, the only outcome would be death. Although she did not know if the venerable great array formation was real, but, ever since she came here, the palpitations in her heart had become more and more intense. She couldn't help but have a preconceived notion and believe that this matter was true. At this moment, under the investigation of her divine sense, she saw a very terrifying energy contained under her feet. Although she was now in a state of deep sleep, she could feel that if this energy was activated, she would undoubtedly die. Seeing this, the jade-faced Rakshasa could not help but look at Lin Rei in shock. Her expression was filled with shock and curiosity at the same time. She was shocked that she could meet such a young array master here. She was even more shocked that this young man could possess the strength of an honorable array formation at such a young age. She could not help but be curious. She was very curious about what kind of power could nurture him to such an extent. "How about it? Do you want to drink and eat meat and have a long talk, or do you want to break the array over there while we sit here and eat meat and watch?" At this moment, while the jade-faced Rakshasa was shocked and curious, Lin Rei's words entered her ears. Immediately, her heart trembled and she made her choice. "All right, I will provide the wine and you provide the meat." "Huh, great." Lin Rei seemed to have expected this result. Then, with a wave of his hand, the honorable array formation hidden under the jade-faced Rakshasa's feet instantly disappeared without a trace. The jade-faced Rakshasa, who had been sensing the array on the ground, immediately curled her lips into an enchanting smile when she sensed the array disappear. Then, she walked towards Xia Feng, who was barbecuing meat. Lin Rei also stopped his impulse to continue cultivating. Then, he brought the two of them over to Xia Feng. "You've come." At this moment, Xia Feng looked at the jade-faced Rakshasa with an enchanting smile and spoke gently. Hearing the evil phoenix's question, the jade-faced Rakshasa was stunned on the spot, looking confused. "Huh, she was the first to discover your existence. As for me, when I exited the gates of Levitating City, I suddenly sensed a pair of eyes staring at me from behind. That's why I paid attention to you." Lin Li, having arrived, spoke out. "What?" The jade-faced Rakshasa looked at Xia Feng in horror when she heard Lin Rei's words. Originally, she thought that Lin Rei was the only one who had discovered her. She did not expect that the woman who was barbecuing meat would be the first to discover her. How could she not be shocked? Especially when she realized that this meant that the woman in red's cultivation was probably already. The jade-faced Rakshasa did not dare to think further. Because if she thought further, she would be in the sage state. At this moment, the jade-faced Rakshasa's restless heart calmed down. Then, she sat on the rock obediently and did not dare to make any moves. There's no need to be so restrained. As long as you're not harmful to us." Seeing everyone's shocked gazes, Lin Rei called out to everyone and then continued with the second jar of wine. Just like that, jar after jar was drunk. In the blink of an eye, more than an hour had passed. Under the siege of everyone, the giant monster was left with a pile of bones. Phew, comfortable. He rubbed his stomach and raised his back, looking very satisfied. This caused the evil phoenix beside him to laugh. However, although everyone was eating and drinking, Lin Rei did not forget about the jade-faced Rakshasa. Now that they had eaten and drunk, it was time to settle the score. After Lin Rei's serious expression, everyone fell into silence. No one said anything. Except for the jade-faced Rakshasa herself, everyone's eyes were fixed on her. At this moment, looking at her, Lin Rei spoke. "Speak. Why are you following us?" Lin Rei's words were exactly what Xie Feng and the others were thinking. They were also very curious as to why the jade-faced Rakshasa was following them. Seeing everyone's gaze, the jade-faced Rakshasa trembled. She smiled bitterly and said, "Do you still remember that time at Stormhouse?" "Yes." "What's wrong?" Lin Rei nodded in response. "When you first came, I felt that you were extraordinary. Although you are only a late god emperor, the spiritual energy in your body is dense. It is something I have never seen before. Moreover, I can vaguely feel a very mysterious and powerful aura from your body. I am very curious about this. The ancient corpse trove is about to open. I want to obtain an item from the ancient corpse trove. Furthermore, I unintentionally heard you all saying that you would be leaving first. Thus, I followed you all to take a look. I didn't expect. AI. Hee, you didn't expect me to know about arrays. Moreover, my attainments in arrays are so high. I even helped you suppress it, right?" He said to her with an amused expression. "Yes. This is what I didn't expect. Although I heard that you could break the seal outside the ancient corpse trove, I didn't expect your attainments in arrays to be so high." After hearing the truth, Lin Rei understood her motive. "Alright, I don't intend to pursue this matter," Lin Rei said to the jade-faced Rakshasa. Although she had been tailing them, Linley decided not to pursue the matter, seeing that she didn't have any bad intentions, and seeing the wine she had just offered him. However, he was very curious about the thing that the jade-faced Rakshasa mentioned. He really couldn't figure out what it was that could make a hierarch cultivator yearn for it. Firstly, he saw the rationality in the jade-faced Rakshasa's eyes. He didn't believe that the jade-faced Rakshasa wanted to get the Corpse King pill. But other than the Corpse King pill, he couldn't think of anything else. When Lin Rei opened his mouth to ask what it was, the jade-faced Rakshasa seemed to understand Lin Rei's intention. She immediately stopped him and replied, "I want a string of Buddha beads. It is a string of innate treasure that belonged to Saint Buddha Nan Wu." "Innate treasure? You're saying that the ancient corpse trove has that thing?" At this moment, it was Lin Rei's turn to be shocked. He knew very well about innate treasures. It was a Dharma artifact that evolved from heaven and earth at the beginning of the world. Its power was more than double that of an acquired treasure. However, Lin Rei couldn't figure out why no one else knew that there was an innate treasure in the ancient corpse trove. Everyone looked at the jade-faced Rakshasa in confusion. Even Xie Feng was the same. As a living being of the untainted land, she also knew how precious innate treasures were. Looking at everyone's confused eyes, the jade-faced Rakshasa didn't hide anything and told them everything she knew. "It's like this. Back then, I found a map in the ancient corpse trove. There was information about the Buddha beads on the back of the map. Moreover, the location of the Buddha beads was clearly marked on the map, so you want to take it for yourself when the ancient corpse trove opens, right?" At this moment, everyone would be fools if they still didn't understand. However, Lin Rei was also interested in the innate treasure, the Buddha beads. Although his weapon was a spear, who wouldn't want an innate treasure? The answer, of course, was no. It wasn't just Linley. Even the demonic phoenix felt a surge of compassion in her heart. After all, when she was sealed, all her Khanate cardinal treasures had been taken away by Haotian. At this moment, it could be said that she did not have any external support except for her own unprecedented cultivation. As a living being of the untainted land and a product of heaven and earth, she couldn't help but feel ashamed and humiliated. I want to work with you. Of course, other than the Buddha beads, you can ask for anything you want. When these words entered Linley's ears, they were filled with wild arrogance. However, Linley didn't dare to be interested in the jade-faced Rakshasa's conditions at all. What he was interested in right now, aside from the Corpse King pills, was a string of Buddhist prayer beads. Chapter 754. Xia Feng's eyes flashed with amusement as she looked at the jade-faced Rakshasa. However, she didn't notice it at all. Cooperating with you? You're overthinking it. It would be a waste not to take such a good thing. Innate treasure, this is, of course, Evil Phoenix naturally couldn't say this out loud. Although he said this in his heart, he didn't show it on his face. Forget it, we don't know if that thing is real or not. Moreover, we are going in for the Corpse King pill. We don't want to consider anything else, so, after speaking, Demonic Phoenix shrugged, then turned to look at Linley, as though he wanted to know what Linley was thinking. Damn, this guy. Lin Rei's face darkened as he watched Xia Feng kick the balloon jade-faced Azura over. At this moment, Lin Rei cursed Xia Feng no less than 100 times in his mind. Yes, this time we're going to find the Corpse King pill, so, sorry. Of course, despite Xia Feng's words, after spending so much time with her, he already knew what Xia Feng was thinking. It would be strange if Xia Feng wasn't tempted by a innate treasure, such a top-grade artifact. A innate treasure. It wasn't something any top-grade artifact could compare to. Moreover, the Corpse King, the master of the ancient corpse vault, had ruled it for so long. Perhaps the Corpse King had already found the Buddhist beads. As for Chu Xiai and Chu Li, they didn't know much about connate treasures, so they were confused. Fine. The jade-faced Rakshasa was disappointed at Lin Rei's refusal. She thought they would agree to her request because of her family's wealth. But now, she was very surprised. It wasn't that her things weren't tempting enough, but that she was facing Lin Rei. Just the things in the storage rings of the people he killed before were comparable to what the jade-faced Rakshasa had. If he added his own, even the jade-faced Azura's wealth wouldn't be 1/10 of what Lin Rei had. Of course, her biggest weakness was that she didn't know Lin Rei. If she did, she wouldn't have made such a request. Furthermore, even if she used her own cultivation technique, or herself, Linley would still be indifferent to it. At home, he had 2 beautiful wives who were as beautiful as flowers and as beautiful as jade. How could he take a fancy to the jade-faced Rakshasa? Moreover, there was no way that Lin Rei would be interested in her cultivation method. After all, there was a sutra pavilion in the system. You could have any cultivation method you wanted in there. Moreover, all of them were better than hers. With such conditions, why would Linley want to work with her? Of course, unless that person was a fool. Seeing the jade-faced Azura's melancholy, Lin Rei chuckled. He stood up and said to Xia Feng and the others, "All right, since we're done eating, let's go for a walk." Are you sure now? Facing her, Lin Rei didn't have the urge to speak at all. He had nothing to say. The situation was very awkward. Not knowing what to do, he took out an immortal fruit from his storage ring and swallowed it. Crunch, the sweet fruit juice was very delicious. If this was the immortal world, if someone saw Lin Rei eating this fruit, they would definitely want to kill him or trick him to come here. Ding dong, The sudden sound of the system notification surprised Lin Rei. He hadn't heard this sound in a long time. Every time, it was because there was a mission, and it was dangerous. Now that it was here, he couldn't help but be vigilant. On the other side, she felt Lin Rei's immortal realm tense up. She thought that an expert had arrived. Then, she released her divine sense and began to investigate. However, after scanning with her divine sense, she didn't find anything out of the ordinary. However, she was puzzled by Lin Rei's vigilance. In the end, she had no choice but to remain silent. At this moment, hearing the notification, Lin Rei's divine sense moved and he instantly entered the system. Looking at the clear sky, Lin Rei asked, "What's the matter?" "Actually, it's nothing. I just checked just now and found that there is a very rare demon beast living in the Sky Mountain range. This demon beast is the first living thing in the universe." "What? The first living thing in the universe is here?" Lin Rei was shocked. He opened his mouth wide enough to fit a fist. It was very funny. Chapter 755. That's right. Looking at Lin Rei's comical expression, the emotionless system chuckled. But at this moment, Linley didn't care about whether he laughed or not. Instead, he focused all of his attention on the first batch of living beings. "What is it?" "The 8 Treasures Exquisite Pig is one of the most miraculous races in the world. Only one will be born in the 8 Treasures Exquisite Pig race every millions of years. Actually, I wasn't sure at first. However, the system has detected signs of activity from the 8 Treasures Exquisite Pig tribe. So, do you want it or not?" At this moment, the system directly placed the choices in front of Linley, allowing him to choose. It was exactly the same as the one it had given him before. To be honest, when the system mentioned the 8 Treasures Exquisite Pig, Lin Rei's heart skipped a beat. Although he didn't know what it could be used for, it was the first batch of living creatures in the world. Just like Xie Feng and Pai Xiu, they were born from the world infused with the Great Tao. "Oh, right, I forgot to tell you." While Linley was silent, the system seemed to have thought of something and added, "The uniqueness of the 8 Treasures Exquisite Boar clan is that they are immune to all spells and are immune to all spells. Furthermore, their physical bodies are extremely powerful. Of course, that's not the most important thing. The 8 Treasures Exquisite Pig tribe is the most powerful and most sought-after ability. They are born with an affinity for heaven and earth treasures. To put it bluntly, the 8 Treasures Exquisite Pig tribe is also known as the treasure-hunting pig tribe. They specialize in finding extremely precious heaven and earth treasures. They don't care about ordinary heaven and earth treasures." Previously, Lin Rei was tempted. However, after hearing the system's explanation, he became impulsive. At this moment, he wanted nothing more than to flip the entire soaring Sky Mountain range upside down and capture the 8 Treasures Exquisite Pig. Then, he would get him to help him search for godly medicines, godly souls, and various top-notch treasures. Although he didn't need some of them, he still had a sect to support. Lin Rei's catchphrase was, "I'm so poor." How about it? You have 2 choices. Do you want to capture it or not? Of course, I have to make it clear to you first. Lin Rei, who was originally very excited and impulsive, felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head when he heard the system's prerequisites. His excitement and impulsiveness were instantly washed away. As far as he could remember, as long as the system said something like, "but," it would not end well. If he didn't peel off a layer of his skin, then, the system wouldn't give up. When he heard the word prerequisites, Lin Rei was stunned. The system chuckled at Lin Rei's expression and didn't think too much about it. When she reappeared, she was already beside Lin Rei. "Do you really think they can kill these 2 Grand Perfection God Emperor demonic beasts? You should know that they aren't you or me. They are just ordinary alchemy disciples. Although you've trained them for a period of time, they..." Xie Feng looked at Lin Rei with concern and said, "Oh. Did I hear wrongly? The incomparably powerful Lord Xie Feng actually knows how to care for others?" Lin Rei teased. "You, humph." Seeing Lin Rei teasing her, Xie Feng rolled her eyes at him. She then snorted and didn't speak anymore. Hee hee. After seeing Xie Feng's silence, Lin Rei turned to the 2 of them. At this moment, Lin Rei's eyes were filled with worry. He was also very worried about the 2 of them. However, if he didn't use this method, it would be impossible for them to raise their cultivation quickly. Everything he did was for the good of the 2 of them. Even if his son was here, he would do the same. Peng, peng, at this moment, the sky trembled and rumbled. The light of battle flashed in the surrounding 50 kilometers. Ah, seems like they are fine. Linley, who had been observing the battle between Chu Ci and Chu Li, saw them executing all sorts of combat techniques and spells with ease in front of the Grand Perfection God Emperor demonic beasts. There was no danger to their lives at all. At this moment, Linley's face relaxed. His anxious heart finally calmed down. He wasn't worried about the two of them, but the matter of the 8 treasures exquisite pig came. Looking at Xie Feng, Lin Rei raised his eyebrows. His eyes were filled with surprise. Lady Xie Feng, hearing this strange cry, Xie Feng was speechless, but she still turned to Lin Rei and asked, "What's the matter?" He. With a serious expression, he began to talk about the 8 treasures exquisite pig. At this moment, Lin Rei didn't hide anything from the jade-faced Rakshasa. He generously allowed her to hear everything clearly. A few minutes later, what? 8 treasures exquisite pig? Xie Feng was shocked. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. That's impossible. How could such a thing still be alive? I remember that they were all wiped out during the first Great Tribulation. No, there are indeed traces of the 8 treasures exquisite pig here. The information is accurate, there is no luck. He believed in the system. He believed that the 8 treasures exquisite pig was here. Are you sure? Looking at how confident Lin Rei was, Xie Feng couldn't help but confirm. This matter had to be clarified because it was very important. One had to know that the benefits of obtaining the 8 treasures exquisite pig were unimaginable. With the 8 treasures exquisite pig, it would only be a matter of time before they established a sect in the Holy World. As for cultivation resources, it would be a piece of cake for those who possessed the 8 treasures exquisite pig. Chapter 756. Lin Rei perked up when he heard that there was a way to capture the 8 treasures exquisite pig. Quick, tell me about it. Actually, the method is very simple. The 8 treasures exquisite pig clan is famous for finding treasures. Therefore, if you want to capture them, you have to use treasures to entice them. The evil phoenix replied. Then, he slowly explained the method he had thought of. Actually, the method is very simple. Use treasures. Although this idea was ingenious, he didn't have many treasures. How would he know what grade of treasure the 8 treasures exquisite pig liked? Moreover, they didn't even know what grade they were at now. Seeing Linley's hesitation, the demonic phoenix, who understood him very well, immediately guessed what he was thinking. She couldn't help but feel disdain towards him. TSK. How can a sect leader be so stingy? I really despise you. With that, evil phoenix couldn't help but roll his eyes at Yizichin. Lin Rei smiled awkwardly when he saw the look in Xie Feng's eyes. Then, he fell into deep thought. He was thinking about what he could use to lure the 8 treasures exquisite pig out. After all, it wouldn't do if the treasure was good or bad. He had to find something that was similar and wouldn't feel the pinch even if he lost it. PFFF, sudden laughter rang in Lin Rei's mind. Lin Rei didn't need to guess to know who it was. Hearing the laughter, Lin Rei's face darkened. What are you laughing at? The person who laughed was none other than the system that was embedded in him. Upon hearing Lin Rei's question, the system replied, "What do you want me to say? Isn't it easy to find a treasure that is similar?" Oh. Lin Rei raised his brows. Since the system had said so, he would stick to it. He knew what treasure was most suitable. Thinking of this, Lin Rei asked shamelessly, "Hurry up and tell me what I have that the 8 treasures exquisite pig is interested in." Think about it. Back then, when we were in the Divine Realm's Divine Sect, didn't we obtain a baleful blood pearl from that pool? Do you still remember? Blood Fiend Pearl? Listening to the system's words, Lin Rei sank into his memories. After all, so many years had passed and he had obtained many things over the years. How could he still remember so clearly? After a few minutes, Lin Rei's eyes lit up and a smile appeared on his face. Yeah. He remembered that he had obtained a pearl from a pond when he was fleeing into a secret realm. He had originally planned to refine a top-grade blood fiend divine artifact, but later, too many things had happened, and the system had issued many missions, so he had forgotten about it. Now that he thought about it, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. That thing was really a treasure, especially the baleful blood energy on it. Alright, you picked it up anyway. Besides, it's useless to you. It doesn't matter whether you use it or not. Rather than leaving it there, why not exchange it for a pig that can search for treasures? This kind of business, it's worth it. That's true. At this moment, Lin Rei couldn't help but be a little impressed. You actually helped him remember something that even he had forgotten. After saying that, he thought about the place where he had placed the blood fiend pearl. After thinking about it, he took it out from his storage ring. Boom! Suddenly, a blood-red bead with a faint smell of blood appeared in his empty hand. The baleful blood energy on it fluctuated. The moment the pearl appeared, a terrifying baleful blood energy soared into the sky, shaking the 9 heavens and giving people a soul-stirring feeling. Even Xia Feng and the jade-faced Rakshasa couldn't help but be shocked, and they felt the sudden appearance of the baleful blood energy. The blood fiend pearl was formed by the condensation of pure baleful blood energy. Moreover, it was a top-grade tool for refining top-grade divine artifacts, so its power could be imagined. At this moment, Xia Feng's shocked gaze fell on the pearl in Lin Rei's hand, and her face turned ugly. Boy, how did you get such an evil thing? Yeah. This thing is formed by the condensation of pure baleful blood energy. It can only be formed by killing a lot of people. Don't tell me you. WH, what are you thinking about? Looking at their strange gazes, Lin Rei hurriedly interrupted them and explained. After all, no one wanted to be labeled as a demon who killed people like scything flax. It's like this. I got this blood fiend pearl from a pool. You don't say. The bottom of the pool was filled with white bones, and the number was shocking. Even I couldn't help but feel numb when I saw it. Let me tell you, those two at that time were simply frightening. On this point, Linley wasn't trying to scare people at all. When he had first seen the white bones at the bottom of the lake, his entire body had been frozen in place, and he had been extremely shocked. After hearing Lin Rei's explanation, the two women's expressions became much better. With their powerful cultivation, they could already see the clues of the pearl, which was why the incident just now happened. Looking at their relaxed expressions, Lin Rei smiled in his heart. Then, he said to Xia Feng, tell me. Is this thing of mine okay? This thing? Xia Feng pointed at the blood fiend pearl and asked hesitantly. Yes, that's it. Nothing else. I'm very poor. It's not like you don't know. With that, Lin Rei grabbed his sleeve and pretended to wipe his tears, looking very pitiful. The current Lin Rei was completely different from before. However, she liked the current Lin Rei very much. Enough. With that, Xia Feng took the blood fiend pearl from Lin Rei's hand and placed it in front of her eyes. Although this thing is evil, I have to say that it is indeed a treasure. Nonsense. Lin Rei rolled his eyes at her. This thing is good stuff. I originally planned to refine a supreme-grade divine artifact or elixir. Unfortunately, for the 8 treasures exquisite pig, I can only reluctantly give it up. With that, Lin Rei clutched his chest and looked as if his heart was being torn apart. It looked very funny. TSK. Who would believe that? Lin Rei's words could only fool a 3-year-old child. After working with him for so long, Xia Feng knew very well what he had. Just now, any item he took out was enough to make the 7 sects fight endlessly for it. They could even go to war and fight to the death. Therefore, when Lin Rei said that he was very poor, Xia Feng only had 2 words in her heart to express it. Haha. Believe it or not, it's up to you. After being seen through by Xia Feng, Lin Rei quickly turned his face away and stopped talking. Bang, oh woo, just as the two of them were silent, on the other side, the test between Chu Xi and Yun Kai came to an end. The miserable roar attracted the attention of Lin Rei, Xia Feng, and jade-faced Rakshasa. At this moment, the three of them turned around and looked at the battle between Chu Xi and Yun Kai in the distance. At Chu Xi's side. At this moment, Chu Xi was resolute. She used her water cloud sword technique to the extreme. The sword aura that filled the sky were like thousands of swimming dragons as they swam around the huge bodies of the monstrous beasts. Wherever the sword aura passed, the monstrous beasts would suffer the consequences of being cut open. Fresh blood flowed out from the wounds like a small stream. The scene was very bloody. However, the blood of a grand perfection god emperor monster was a great nourishment. Even the trees were an exception. The blood of the monster splattered on the trees. It could be seen that the trees were rapidly absorbing the blood. Regarding this, Linley was certain that before long, they would all develop intelligence and become demonic beasts. Seeing this scene, Lin Rei revealed a smile. His eyes were filled with joy and admiration. He wasn't the only one. Even the evil phoenix and the jade-faced Rakshasa felt the same. One had to know that cultivators who could challenge cultivators above their level were the elites of their sections. Moreover, the two of them were fighting against demonic beasts. This made them even more powerful. Ordinary Grand Perfection God Emperor monsters, even Grand Perfection God Emperor cultivators, would not dare to provoke such a powerful monster. Of course, it would be easier if there were 2 or 3 of them. Looking at the other side, Yun Kai's results were even more outstanding. After all, during this period of time, Linley had been paying close attention to her cultivation and battle prowess. As for Chu Xi, Linley had asked him to concoct pills. Thus, prior to this, he had already considered who would emerge victorious. Looks like there's no suspense on Yun Kai's side. The outcome will be revealed soon. That's right. The one called Yun Kai has a strong cultivation base and exquisite battle techniques. Moreover, she has a lot of battle experience. What's even more commendable is her pure cultivation base. Her spiritual energy is very pure. If it wasn't for that, I'm afraid, listening to their analysis, Lin Rei chuckled. His face revealed a proud expression. Nonsense. Don't you know who taught her? If she was still weak, I would have jumped into the river to commit suicide. Lin Rei curled his lips. He could not help but underestimate her. Pang, suddenly, a loud sound rang out. Just as everyone had expected, there was movement on Yun Kai's side. She was currently standing in the air, completely unscathed. Although her face was pale and her clothes were a bit tattered, they were only minor injuries. She had overexerted herself, as well as the consequences of extreme stress. At this moment, in front of Yun Kai, dust was flying everywhere. Countless trees had been crushed by the monster's enormous body. As the dust settled, a huge demonic beast could be seen lying on the ground. Its entire body was riddled with holes, dripping with blood, and even its bones were exposed. It was a horrible sight to behold. Its entire body was covered with sword marks, fist marks, palm marks, and brush marks. Seeing this scene, Lin Rei was stunned and his hair stood on end. He was very glad that his wife was not such a violent person. Otherwise, he would have been miserable. Now that the result is out, there's no need to keep this one alive. With a smile, Lin Rei looked at Chu Xi, who was still bitterly fighting. His figure instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already beside Chu Xi, who had been thrown into the battle. His aura was weak, and his fighting spirit was soaring to the heavens. His body was covered in wounds, and his clothes were torn and tattered by the demonic beasts. Looking at him now, Linley felt the same way. After all, he was just an alchemist, and he hadn't done anything else during this period of time. Looking at him, Lin Rei said, "All right, you can go down first." When you cultivate your Dan stage to the upper class of the Danzong sect, I will teach you an extremely powerful battle technique, Martial God's Test. With that, Lin Rei used his cultivation. Spiritual energy broke out of his body and turned into a giant hand. It gently grabbed Chu Xi, refined him, and put him aside. Staring at the monster, he murmured, "Watch carefully. This is the battle technique I will teach you in the future, Martial God's Test." With that, a long spear with a heaven-piercing pressure appeared. The spear was completely black. On the shaft, 9 dragons were engraved. It looked very cool. At this moment, Lin Rei gave off the feeling of a war god descending. It was a feeling of a sovereign descending upon the world. This caused Chu Xi to be stunned. "Old friend, I haven't seen you in a long time. Today, I will let you see some blood." Caressing the primal chaos dragon spear, Lin Rei said gently. In the next second, the originally gentle face of Lin Rei immediately turned as cold as frost. He gave off a feeling that anyone who dared to approach within a radius of 300 meters would die. Looking at the monster, Lin Rei shouted to Chu Xi behind him, "Watch carefully. This is the Martial God's Test." With that, Lin Rei's spear was placed in front of his chest. His late-stage God Emperor cultivation was pushed to the limit. Terrifying ripples of spiritual energy rushed out from his body. Martial God's Test, first style absolute kill, the spear was thrown out. Like a long dragon, it rushed in front of the monster in an instant. The momentum of the spear was enough to cause people to be stunned. However, an even more terrifying event occurred. The space around the demon beast started to warp when he utilized the first martial god test. In the end, due to the warping of space, the demon beast's body started to be torn apart bit by bit. The profundity of the martial god's test lay in the word space. Rather than saying that it was a battle technique, it would be better to say that it was a disguised form of space magic. It was just that it was revealed through spear techniques. The space became more and more distorted. After the monster's body was torn apart by the distortion of space, Lin Rei withdrew his cultivation and placed the spear on his back. Dong! With a loud sound, the martial god's test disappeared. The monster that was torn apart fell from the sky and smashed into the ground. Letting out a long sigh, he turned around and looked at Chu Xi, who was staring at him with wide eyes. A hint of a smile appeared on Lin Li's face, and he said, "What do you think? How was my tactic?" That was simply too cool, too awesome, too cool." Hearing Lin Li's question, Chu Xi hurriedly came back to her senses, and her face was full of excitement as she spoke. At this moment, he wished he could become a high-grade Grandmaster Alchemist. That way, he would be able to directly practice such a powerful combat technique. If that's the case, then cultivate well in the future. Redouble your efforts in cultivating. As long as you become a high-level Grandmaster Alchemist, I will impart the martial god test to you and refine an acquired supreme treasure for you. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.